In this video, we're going to be looking at setting up the D2L Brightspace Gradebook. The first thing we need to do is to get to the Grades area. From this nav bar, we can click on Teacher's Tools and either go directly to Grades, or if this button isn't present, find the Edit Course button, and from here scroll down to Grades. The first time you're brought into it, it's going to take you to a setup wizard. Scroll down to click Start. We need to decide what type of a grading system you're going to use. The most common would be a weighted system, where we can create categories assigned a weight and then distribute weighted assignments within that category. You can also use a point system that will use the point value of each assignment to total category points and impact the weighting in their final mark. The most flexibility exists with the weighted grading system. For the final grades released, we'll leave the default to adjust the final grade. This allows you to override the calculated grade and use your professional judgment. For the grade calculation, my preference is to drop ungraded items. This allows you to go in manually put a 0 in if one is warranted. If you choose to treat ungraded items as 0, any blanks will automatically be filled with 0 as soon as the due date for that assessment passes. This may create complications if you've given extended due dates or allowed students to skip certain assignments. I find it's just easier to go in and manually put in a 0 if need be. You should also toggle on to automatically keep the final grade updated. That way you can kind of have a running total throughout the course. You can choose the type of marking that you would like reflected. Most people in secondary will retain the percentage scheme, but if you use levels for your assessment in rubrics, you may want to change to that as the default. You can always change the view of this within the assignment itself. As a general rule, 1 decimal place is adequate to be displayed for the grade. For the student view display options, you can choose what and how you want students to see. Generally speaking, I will use the points grade item, and then you can also use some grade scheme symbols or grade color symbols, which will reflect their performance in both a symbolic and colored method in the gradebook when they look at it. You can choose to show a weighted grade item, but I find this confuses the students as it's going to convert the number into whatever the weighting is. Again, you can provide the number of decimal places you want to provide for the student and whether or not you want them to see final grades calculated. This should not be toggled and should be left off. Once that's done, we can click Finish, and we can go and set up our categories. So we're going to create a new grade category, and this can be reflective of how you would set up your regular gradebook. By scrolling down, we can provide the weight of that category, and you should also toggle Allow Category Grade to Exceed Category Weight. This simply means that the total number of points accumulated in the assessments can exceed the total category weight. You can also choose to manually assign weight to items in the category. This is going to allow you to adjust weighting at the end of the course if you find an assignment maybe is skewed a little heavily. You can also choose these other distribution methods, but again, the manual is the most flexible. When you've finished making your categories, you should see the final calculated grade be weighted at 100. If this isn't the case, you can go back and check, and I've missed adding a category. To add another one, I can go to New, Category, and add it in here. Now I can see the final calculated grade is out of 100. I'm getting some notes here saying that the knowledge sums 0, not 100%. This is okay as I haven't created any assessments in here yet. Once the gradebook has been set up with our categories, we don't need to be too concerned with these warnings up here, so long as the total is out of 100. If I need to make adjustments on my categories after the fact, I can either click on the drop down beside it and edit each category individually, or select the Select All button and do a bulk edit. That's going to allow me to change the weighting of each category and also some of the setup options. If I need to change any of the setup configuration, I can either go through the entire setup wizard again, or I can click on the settings and go to the appropriate area that I need to change. I have my display options, student view display options, and then the calculation method and calculation options. With the framework for our gradebook now set up, we can begin attaching grade items within the gradebook or to the assignments to start filling in some of these categories. We'll be looking at that in the next video.